Denver at New England. Wow. Did not think that this was going to happen. But if you're the Patriots, you maybe are a little bit happy about it, but maybe not, I'm not sure. Only 3 teams beat New England during the regular season. Pittsburgh was one of them. So one key offensive matchup for Denver.
Okay, for Denver, I think here's the thing about Denver. I'm looking for key offensive matchups. I think if they do what they did last time against the Patriots, they're going to be fine offensively. However, here's what they did last time. They ran for 252 yards. Tebow had 93 yards on the ground. McGahee 70. Lance Ball 64. They still lost by 18. You know, I mean, that's crazy. Tebow threw for almost 200 yards. They still lost by 18. They lost 3 fumbles that only turned into 13 New England points. If they didn't fumble at all, they would have lost by 5. It's incredible the offense that they put up against New England, the efficiency that they had, and they still lost. So I think they still have to have the same type of offensive game plan. If they can do this and play a little bit better on defense, I think that's fine. But they don't need to do anything different than what they did in the first game.
So just don't turn it over?
Well, no. If they turn it over, they still lost. If they didn't turn it over, they still lost. So I think their offensive game plan can be the same. You know, the 252 yards, that's going to keep Tom Brady off the field if you could do that way running, you know, the football. They need to break a big play. Both of their touchdowns came from Tebow rushing touchdowns, bunch of field goals. Better red zone efficiency, maybe. I mean, but I'm looking at their offensive numbers last time they played the Patriots. I'm thinking there's nothing wrong with this. And you still lost by 18 points.
By 18 points. A-Roz, how about the defense for New England, piggybacking off of this?
Basically, the way I see it, just comparing to what Pittsburgh did, it goes with matching up against Tim Tebow and the Patriots' front 7, because those are the 7 guys that have to stay disciplined guarding this option. Because we saw what happened with Pittsburgh. They had the exact same formations running these plays, and that Pittsburgh's basically sold out for the run, and they got burned downfield. Tebow only completed 11 passes, but threw for 316 yards. So the guy's averaging 30 yards of completion. It's all New England's pass defense wasn't that bad this year when they could at least rush the quarterback. And having a guy like Vince Wilfork as your nose tackle in the 3-4 will help him at least control the run. And having guys like Brandon Spikes and Patrick Chung as good run stoppers as well, it's going to come down to the other guys like the Gerard Mayos of the team and all the other guys that Belichick likes to insert onto his defense. Those guys have to stay disciplined and really pick their spots when they want to go after Tebow. Otherwise, they'll be giving up more and more big plays like you saw last week, and as well as the first meeting between these two teams.
Yeah, one of the things that I saw watching this game back the other day, was it week 14?
15.
Week 15. Was that more than, or we'll say less than any other team that played Denver, New England had no interest in making specialized defenses for the run. They came out in your standard base cover 2, 4-3, linebackers playing off, no safeties involved in the run game. They basically said, Tim Tebow, we're challenging you to a shootout, is basically what they said.
And we don't think you can win.
And he didn't.
No. And he didn't.
And he didn't.
Yeah.
Now, Pittsburgh did something completely different, right? They took one of their safeties, they brought them in, they had 8 in the box, they're going with 3 defensive backs, and so you're going to open up some holes there. The Patriots, not as much, right? So then they were able to run. Denver was able to run. Is Denver going to be able to run this time? That's kind of what matters. But what is interesting is, you say keep Tom Brady off the field, but New England won that battle. I think it was something like 33 minutes to 27 minutes, if I have that correct. At any rate,
because they ran the ball effectively as well.
They had the ball more, right? Yeah. They had the ball more.
Woodhead and Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis. I think they used some of the rookies as well. I'm not sure if it was Vereen or not that game, but they used 3 different running backs and were very effective running the ball against Denver as well.
Yeah. All right, so let's go to the other side of the ball. One key defensive matchup for Denver.
I promise, guys, I have key matchups for every game except for this. But let me tell you why I couldn't do it for this. Okay. Because you can't pick a matchup here when you're going about New England's. I had Denver's defense. You can't choose a guy to stop. You can't say, like, listen, their best receivers obviously are Gronk and Welker, right? Last time they held Gronk and Welker to 4 catches apiece. Guess what? Aaron Hernandez has 9 catches for 150 yards, and Ocho Cinco gets in the end zone. The New England Patriots do something better than any other team in the NFL, and that is they don't say we're going to do what we're going to do, and you try to stop us. They're going to say we're going to attack what you do the worst, and you figure out how to stop that. They don't have this identity where we're going to run the ball, we're going to pass the ball, we're going only to our best tight end, we're going only to Welker. If you guys make make it your object to stop somebody, we're going to go somewhere else. And we're going to attack your weaknesses. So you can't pick a matchup here because whatever Denver chooses to stop, New England will go somewhere else.
Shifty. And what about the other side of the ball, A-Roz? Key offensive matchup for New England, piggybacking off of this.
You mentioned it, Tad. It's those tight ends. They have the best tight end groups in football, period. You got some teams that have one good tight end. These are 2 all-pro caliber tight ends, and Hernandez and Gronkowski. Out of the 5,000 yards that Brady has, 2,200 of them go to these tight ends. They also have 24 touchdowns between them. In fact, between these two, they played 14 games together. Hernandez missed 2 earlier. In just 2 of those 14 games, they were held scoreless in the end zone. At least one of them scored a touchdown in 12 of those games. The Jets shut him out the first time and Miami the last time. So if you look at what Denver did in the first meeting, they held Gronkowski to just 4 catches. Aaron Hernandez had a career game, 9 receptions, 129 yards, and a big touchdown in that. So they really have to pick their spots, and it's these Denver safeties, David Bruton and rookie Quentin Carter, the rookie from Oklahoma, who's been filling the shoes of Brian Dawkins, so his status is still up in the air. So as good as Welker plays and these outside receivers, how can they defend these tight ends who are arguably New England's best deep threats as well? So trying to guard the middle of the field is going to be a huge defensive concern for Denver.
And what a huge boost it will be for Denver if my second favorite Eagle of all time, Brian Dawkins, is able to come back into that secondary and play, because that guy is a player. Doesn't matter how old he gets, he's ageless. Of course, he has the neck injuries a lot like Brian Dawkins, or like, Peyton Manning. He's got not necessarily with the surgery that Peyton Manning need, but he has a big neck injury. It's really hard to play safety when you have a neck injury. You're leading with that shoulder and helmet quite a bit. But if they can get him back, huge for Denver.
Yeah, one of the things that I saw in that game was they didn't put any pressure on Tom Brady, and they didn't even try. They didn't get Elvis Dumervil involved, and they didn't get Von Miller involved. I can't, off the top of my head, I'm not sure, because Von Miller's been in and out. If he was in that game, I think he was. They made no attempt. They put all of their focus on trying to shut down Gronk, trying to shut down Welker, and leaving Aaron Hernandez open in those seams. I think that one of the keys for Denver is going to be getting Dumervil involved and getting Von Miller involved. Rush Tom Brady, put pressure on him, because Tom Brady is not infallible in the pocket. We've seen teams get to them. We always talk about the 2007 Giants-Patriots game, right? Let's talk about the Jets-Patriots game last year in Gillette Stadium. They managed to put the pressure on Tom Brady, sacked him a few times, put them in strange spots, and a team that wasn't able to put a lot of points on the board, the Jets, was able to beat the Patriots by rushing the passer. And it's one thing to say some, XYZ NFL team needs to put pressure on Tom Brady. This is a team in Denver, I think we would all agree, that does have a decent pass rush.
Yes.
And so I think that they need to get that involved in this one. Let's go picks. A-Roz, you go first.
As much as a Tebow magic train, whatever's been rolling through the end of the season, I think the run ends here. I think New England's going to win this by 2 touchdowns. I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow pulled off the upset, but I'm sticking with my head in this one. New England wins this at home.
Dad?
Nothing would make me happier than to watch a great football game here, like the kind that we saw in Pittsburgh, where it's coming down to the end, maybe even goes into overtime. But Denver played almost perfect offensive game last time they played against New England and still lost by 18. I don't see them winning this. I didn't see them beating Pittsburgh either. So I could be wrong, but I'm taking New England.
The Patriots are one of the worst home teams in the league in the postseason over the past 2 years.
Yeah. Well, they haven't won a single game in the playoffs since the
0-3.
Giants.
They
yeah.
continue to lose in the postseason
And they're always at
Gillette
home.
Stadium. And they have also lost in all of those games to second-year quarterbacks. Just kind of an interesting stat.
Flacco, Sanchez, right?
Guys like Flacco and Sanchez. So, I mean, I'm going to take New England in this game because I think they're going to do the same thing, and I think it's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Challenge Denver to a shootout, and then win the shootout. I think we're going to see a score that's very, very similar. But Denver's defense is very good. Very, very good. And I would like to see them make this a closer game by limiting the Patriots, but there's just so many weapons.